You're listening to Ada's Folktales. Let's begin the story.
Before the children, before the sleepless night, before the quiet heartbreak, Amaka Okori was the kind of woman whose footsteps echoed confidence. She was that young professional every HR department prayed not to lose. Smart, focused, and full of laughter that made every deadline behave themselves. She met Toby on a work trip to Abuja. He was a fast-rising businessman with charm, so polished it could reflect light. They fell in love, married quickly, and everyone said, this one is a power couple in the making. When Amaka conceived their first child, doctors discovered a rare pregnancy condition, the type where she couldn't move around much without risking bleeding. She was told to quit work and rest completely. Her world froze. She cried for 3 nights straight, staring at her resignation letter like it had stolen her identity. Toby held her hand then and promised, "You've worked enough. Just rest. I'll handle everything. You're my queen." And she believed him because love still sounded true in his mouth back then. Months later, she gave birth safely to a baby girl. Then a baby boy followed, healthy and loud enough to shake the roof. They had what most couples prayed for, but somewhere between diaper changes and midnight feeding, something inside Toby began to drift. He stopped looking at her the way he used to. Those long admiring looks replaced by short, distracted glances. Her once polished suit were now replaced with house gowns and milk stains. Her perfume became baby powder. Toby became impatient, snapping easily. "You're always tired. You don't even try to look nice anymore. You just sit at home. Do you know how stressful business is?" Each word was a slow cut. Amaka learned to keep quiet. She started saying sorry, even when she hadn't done anything wrong. Only Mama Toby, the husband's mother, seemed to see her pain. She often visited, bringing food and advice in the same bag. "My daughter, you did well to give me grandchildren. Don't let his foolishness steal your peace. Men can be blind when pride is talking." She even confronted her son once. "You fell in love with a strong woman. Now that she paused her life to carry yours, you treat her like a stranger." Toby, fear God. He only signed and left the room, pretending not to hear. A week later, Mama sat Amaka down. "My daughter, stop crying. If he doesn't see you the way he used to, find another light to shine. You can't let motherhood silence your fire." She suggested Amaka find something she could do from home, a small business, an online skill, something to keep her mind busy. Amaka nodded slowly. She had an idea already, a remote digital training course she once read about, but she needed a laptop to start. When Mama told Toby, he dismissed it. Laptop for what? To be chatting with strangers online? Toby, Mama backed. If your wife wanted to cheat, she would have used your car key, not a laptop. Toby left in anger. Mama just shook her head. With each passing week, Amaka felt herself fading. She depended on Toby for everything. Allowance, toiletries, even small phone data. The woman who once chaired meeting now waited for permission to buy sanitary pad. She would sit by the window sometimes, watching people walk past, wishing she could switch places with anyone, even the neighbor selling zobo. At least she looked happy. Her friend Choma visited one afternoon and found her sitting quietly, lost in thought. When Amaka said, "Maybe this is just how marriage becomes after children," Choma shook her head and hissed, "I beg, you only paused your life for 9 months. You didn't bury it. The only burial here is your husband's sins. May it rest in peace till he repents." They both laughed, though Amaka's laughter cracked halfway through. Behind the smile, her heart whispered a small shaky prayer that one day Toby would look at her again and see the woman he once married. There is a silence that can shout louder than quarrels. That's the one that now lived in Amaka's home. Every day began with and ended with good night that sounded like insult. She tried to bring back the warmth. She cooked his favorite egusi with extra meat. He only asked, "You didn't use crayfish?" She wore a nightgown. He turned and said, "Please, off the light, I want to sleep. Her marriage had turned into a group project where only one person was submitting work. Toby's phone had suddenly become a national secret. He started keeping it under his pillow, smiling into it like it was cracking jokes. Sometimes she'd walk in and he would drop it so fast you'd think it was hot coal. When she asked, "Who's that?" he would reply, "Business call. You won't understand." But Amaka understood. Women don't need CCTV. Their spirit does the recording. Mama Toby noticed the tension the moment she visited. The house that once smelled of stew and laughter now smelled of unspoken words. She called her son aside. "Toby, what's going on? This girl has changed because she carried your children. You think pregnancy is ice cream?" He sighed. "Mama, she's always tired, always complaining. And you're always blind. You loved a working woman, but now you hate a resting one. Which human being do you want God to mold for you?" He hissed and stormed off, pretending to take a call. Amaka was tired of crying. She stopped expecting flowers. She just wanted respect. But even that had become luxury. One morning, she asked for her usual allowance for groceries. Toby said, "I don't have money to waste on things you can manage." She opened her mouth, closed it again, and just nodded. That evening, she told Mama Toby, "I feel like a stranger in my own house. Mama, sigh deeply. Don't give up my daughter. One day, this boy will open his eyes. I just pray it won't be too late." Later that night, her friend Choma dropped by. She met Amaka sitting on the couch, staring into space. "Amaka, what are you thinking about?" "My life." "I beg, shift. If you think too much, NEPA will soon take your sense during light." They laughed. It was the kind of laughter that comes with tears hiding behind it. The wedding invitation from Amaka's younger brother came like a small ray of light through a cracked window. It had been months since she'd gone anywhere beyond the market and the children's school gate. She was excited. She wanted to breathe, dress well, and feel human again. When she told Toby about the trip, his face twisted like she had asked him to buy an island. "You want to travel with 2 kids? You think money grows on my beard?" She smiled faintly. "Toby, it's my brother's wedding. I already told you weeks ago, and I already said I don't have money for flight tickets. If you must go, use the road." Her heart sank. The distance from Lagos to Enugu was long and risky, especially with 2 small children. "Mama will be going too." She tried again. "Can't you book flight for all of us?" Toby chuckled and said the kind of sentence that later becomes gossip material. "Mama and the kids can fly. Amaka, go by road." Even his own mother froze. "Toby," Mama shouted, "you want me to fly with breast milk and leave the breast on the express road? You dey craze?" The house went silent, but Toby's pride was taller than common sense. "Fine," he said. "All of you should go by road, since my money no reach your expectation." Mama didn't say another word. She simply packed her things and sighed. God will judge. 2 days later, they began the trip. Amaka, Mama, and the children. The morning was calm, but Amaka's chest carried a strange unease. She sat beside Mama, clutching her baby's hand, while Mama hummed an old hymn. On the road, they joked about village food, market noise, and how relatives would dance offbeat at the wedding. For a moment, Amaka almost felt normal again. Then somewhere, a near-quiet stretch of highway, 3 men stepped out from the bush, guns gleaming. The driver backed hard. Screams filled the air. It happened in seconds. Chaos, dust, fear. They were dragged out, blindfolded, and thrown into a van. The children cried until their voices broke. Amaka's last clear thought before darkness swallowed her was, "Toby, please pick up the phone." That evening, Toby's phone rang. A deep, unfamiliar voice said, "Your family is with us. 10 million naira or you would never see them again." His breath caught. "What? My wife, my kids, my mother? All 4? 10 million. He panicked. Please reduce it. I don't have 10 million naira right now." After haggling, they agreed to 8 million. 2 million each for his mother, 2 kids, and wife. The kidnapper said, "Once we confirm payment, we'll release them all." Toby was quiet for a while. Then he calmly asked, I'll pay for my mother and kids first. My wife, I'll find her own later. Silence. Even the kidnapper stammered. Oga, you say? You heard me right. Just release my mother and children. I'll send their money. For my wife, I don't have yet. The line went dead for 3 full seconds before the kidnapper muttered, Oga na wow. Even devil they shock sometimes. Next day, Mama and the 2 kids were dropped by the roadside. Trembling, she begged them to take her back, to bring out her daughter-in-law. They cocked their guns and shouted, Madam, move! Tears blurred her eyes as she carried the baby. When she got home, Mama confronted her son. Toby, you mean to tell me you left that poor girl in the bush? What kind of a heart do you have? Mama, please, I'll handle it later. Handle what? You've handed your marriage into a coffin. But Toby just walked away. Later that night, the phone rang again. The kidnapper's voice returned, slow and sarcastic. Oga, just to confirm, you don't want your wife back? Toby said quietly. When I have money, I'll call. The man signed and replied, you don't need to call again. Even we get conscience. But you, Oga, you need deliverance. He hung up. That was the last anyone heard from the kidnappers or from Amaka. The night Mama Toby and the children returned home, their clothes still smelled of bush smoke and fear. The neighbors gathered, murmuring in disbelief. Everyone was asking the same question. Where is Amaka? Mama's lips trembled as she spoke. They said her husband refused to pay for her. They said, her voice cracked and she fell silent. The crowd gasped. Even the neighbors who loved gossip, the most whispered, ha, this one don't pass marriage wahala. Toby came home that evening and met his mother sitting on the floor, holding the children like lost property. Her eyes were red. Toby, what kind of a son are you? She asked quietly. Mama, please don't start. Start? You think I'm doing drama? You left that poor girl there. That girl who nearly died, bringing your children into this world. Toby rubbed his head. Mama, I said I'll handle it. I didn't have money then, but you had money to buy drinks for your office party last week. May thunder update your priorities. He hissed and walked away, muttering, I don't have strength for this. Mama shook her head and whispered a prayer that sounded more like a curse. By morning, Amaka's siblings arrived. They had heard everything. The compound became a war zone. Her elder brother shouted, you're standing here, breathing after abandoning our sister. If anything happens to her, you bury peace with your own hands. Toby raised his hand. Please calm down. You people don't understand. Understand what? That you chose who deserved to live? The younger sibling burst into tears. You even told them to release Mama and the kids first. What kind of a husband says that? He tried to explain again, but every word made him sound more heartless. When they demanded the kidnapper's number so they could negotiate, he refused to give it, claiming he deleted it. Mama couldn't take it anymore. She returned to her son and said, if you were not my blood, I would swear you were adopted. No human I raised should reason like this. Days turned into weeks and then months. No one heard from Amaka. The police tried their best, but there was no trace. The kidnapper's line was dead. Mama barely slept. She would sit outside every night, staring into the darkness, like she expected her daughter-in-law to appear out of it. The children often asked, Grandma, when will Mommy come back? Mama would hug them and whisper, soon, my children, soon. But her eyes told the truth. She had no idea. 6 months after the kidnapping, Toby did something that silenced the entire family. He announced that he wanted to remarry. He said the words so casually that even the wall clock pulsed out of shock. She's been gone for months. We have to move on. Life doesn't stop. Mama's face turned white. Move on. Your wife is missing, not buried. You didn't even look for her, and now you want to replace her. Toby shrugged. I've made up my mind. Sandra understands me. At that name, Mama's hands began to shake. That girl, the one you've been hiding your phone for, you're marrying her while your wife's clothes still smells of her perfume? He didn't answer, he just walked away again. As he left, Mama muttered under her breath, Sandra understands you better. Of course she does. Demons understand each other faster than angels. The family cut Toby off completely. Mama took the children and moved out of the house. She said at least they'll grow where conscience still exists. Toby didn't stop her. His pride had built walls too high for shame to climb. He married Sandra quietly. The picture spread online. New couple, new home, new beginning. Mama didn't even look at them. Each time someone mentioned his name, she would say softly, "Don't bring that boy up around me." The day he buried love alive, he stopped being my son. And just like that, life continued painfully, quietly, without Amaka. The last thing Amaka remembered before she fainted that day was her baby crying. When she woke up, her hands were tied behind her back. Her head pounded. The air was heavy, thick with kerosene, gun oil, and silence. A voice barked from the corner, "Madam, just calm down. Nobody go touch you if you cooperate." She didn't answer. She just breathed slowly, counting seconds and praying she would see the light again. They gave her food once a day, cold beans, dry gari. When she asked about her family, they laughed and walked away. Sometimes she whispered prayers until someone shouted, "Madam, you want to disturb God this night?" But she kept praying. The hunger was bad, but the betrayal was worse. She couldn't stop hearing that voice, Toby's voice, saying he would pay for everyone else but her. It echoed in her mind until it no longer hurt. It just sounded like confirmation. Even if he had no money, she whispered one night, he could have tried. Two kidnappers were talking by the fire one evening. She pretended to be asleep. "That woman's husband wicked oh. We tell him 8 million. He say remove my wife home. You serious? I swear. I even pity the woman. If not me, I for just use and disappear." Her eyes stayed closed, but her soul opened. Something inside her hardened. Not anger, but a quiet decision. She would leave, not for him, for herself. A few days later, a new guard came on shift. Younger, kinder. He looked at her for a long moment and whispered, "Madam, you no resemble bad person. I no feel what you die here." That night, he sneaked her out through the back path. He gave her a flashlight and said, "When you reach the main road, no look back, run." She ran barefoot until dawn. At a small village, a woman frying akara found her by the roadside and shouted, "Jesus, madam, wetin happen?" They wrapped her in a cloth, gave her water and called the local police. At the station, the officers asked for her husband's contact. They said at the phone they offered her, then pushed it back gently. No one to call. They assumed she was in shock and took her to a small clinic to rest. Later that night, she found her old phone in the small bag she traveled with. Cracked screen, 6% battery. Plug it in at the nurse's counter. Scrolled through her contact and froze at the name Toby, which had a love emoji. Her hands shook. She deleted it. Then her eyes caught another name. Lydia, UK, her old university friend. They hadn't spoken much in years. But just a few weeks before the wedding trip, Lydia had called out of the blues, promising to support her new business idea. Tears filled Amaka's eyes. She clicked the call. Back in the university, Lydia had been the quiet, struggling girl from a poor background, the one who sometimes skips meals and borrowed lecture notes. Amaka, then a lively accountant student with a generous heart, had practically adopted her. She would share food, clothes, even pay Lydia's hostel rent one semester without telling anyone. Lydia never forgot it. When she later traveled abroad and built a successful tech career, she often said, "If not for that girl Amaka, I'd have dropped out." So the moment she saw Amaka's call, she knew something was up. And she saw it as a long overdue chance to return the kindness that once kept her alive. Lydia answered on a second ring. "I've been seeing news about a kidnapping in your area. Tell me where you are. Please talk." Her voice was shaking. Amaka told her everything. Hatefully, painfully. Lydia didn't even let her finish. "Don't call anyone else. I'll handle it." Within an hour, Lydia sent money through a verified local contact, enough for relocation, a place to stay, and proper medical care. A vehicle came quietly that evening to pick Amaka up. The driver, an elderly man, kept staring at her through the mirror and finally said, "Madam, na small world o. One day they cry for help. The next day na foreign call they rescue you. Life the wrong comedy way no dey funny." Amaka smiled faintly. Maybe one day it will be. She didn't know where the road led, but for the first time, it wasn't leading back. She would heal, rebuild, and one day return. 6 months, that was all it took for Amaka Okori to become a different woman. Not the old Amaka who smiled to please people, or the one who whispered prayers through tears, but a new one, calm, firm, and quietly dangerous. After Lydia's call and the transfer that followed, everything changed. She was relocated to Port Harcourt into a modest apartment arranged through Lydia's local contact. At first, the silence felt strange. She wasn't used to peace that didn't come with apology. Lydia called her every day, at first, encouraging her to focus on healing. You need a routine, she said. Learn again, don't waste your pain, use it. Through online mentorship program and training courses Lydia enrolled her in, Amaka began learning remote digital management, the same business skills she wanted to start before the kidnapping. Her mind, once filled with regrets, now absorbed lessons, strategies, and deadlines. Within a month, she was managing small freelance projects online. By the third month, she was earning real money, good money. She bought herself a new phone, changed her SIM card, and opened an entire new life. The first time she looked in the mirror and saw her reflection, confident, healthy, with a new hairdo, she didn't recognize herself. Her laughter was fuller now, unforced. Each morning she'd whisper, God, thank you for removing me without permission. But she realized something. If Toby had loved her half as much as he claimed, she might have still been stuck in that silent marriage, dying slowly with her dreams. Far away, Toby's new marriage had already begun to rot. Sandra, his side chick turned wife, wasn't the fantasy he imagined. She was constantly sick, always visiting the hospital, and growing irritably. He tried to be patient until one day she sat him down and said it bluntly. There's something I didn't tell you before we got married. I have a chronic illness. It's permanent. His body went cold. She smiled faintly and added, Don't worry, darling. We'll manage it together as husband and wife. He felt the room spin. That night he couldn't sleep well. For the first time in his adult life, guilt entered his bone. By the 5th month, Amaka had earned enough to buy a small car and rent a bigger apartment in a gated estate. Her neighbors thought she was one of those quiet tech women who don't talk to anybody but always look like they have sense. She didn't correct them. She just kept working, saving and building. When Lydia called again, proud of her progress, Amaka spoke. You saved me when I didn't believe in saving myself, Lydia replied. You are the one who chose to rise. I only showed you the stairs. They both laughed. One evening, her landlady saw her working on her laptop and said, Madam, now so you dey press that thing every day. You saw say money they come out from there. Amaka smiled and answered, Money they come out well, ma. It just no make noise like generator. The woman nodded, now silent riches be that. 8 months after her escape, Amaka finally dialed the number she had been avoiding. Mama Toby. The phone rang twice before Mama picked. Hello, who is this? Amaka's voice shook. Mama, it's me. There was silence, then a loud thud followed by crying and prayers. Jesus, Amaka, my daughter. They said you were gone. They said, oh God, you are faithful. The two women wept together across the phone line. Relief, pain, gratitude all mixed in. Then, when they calmed down, Mama said softly, My daughter, your bride price was returned. I wanted to close that chapter so you can open another one. Amaka nodded, even though Mama couldn't see her. You did well, Mama. Some doors need to stay locked forever. When she ended the call, Amaka stared at her reflection in the glass window. Her hair loose, her face glowing under the warm light of her laptop screen. She smiled, not with bitterness, but with the kind of peace that comes from knowing you've rebuilt what someone tried to bury. The day Amaka Okore's story hit the news, the internet nearly broke. Her photo, confident, elegant, flanked by her 2 children, was everywhere. The headline, Kidnapped Survivor turned Tech Entrepreneur, built home for her kids. In the picture, she stood beside Mama Toby, smiling softly. The woman who had once been written off was now being celebrated as a symbol of courage. Her new home stood on the edge of Port Harcourt, bright, calm, painted in soft cream, with green plants trailing from the balcony. Inside, laughter filled the air. Her daughter chasing her little brother. Mama Toby shouted from the kitchen, You children will turn this house into a playground. Amaka smiled as she watched them. Each brick of the house felt like healing. Each room smelled like a second chance. 6 months earlier, she had been lost in the forest. Now she was laying curtains in her new home. Destiny had turned her tears into foundation sand. In another part of town, Toby's world was shrinking. He was thinner, quieter and no longer looked like the man who once barked orders at everyone. Even his mirror had stopped recognizing him. The sickness had become real. Hepatitis B, the doctors confirmed, a viral infection that attacked the liver, spread through the blood or body fluid, the kind of illness that could lie hidden for years, exactly as Sandra had hidden it. He still remembered the night she told him. They had been married barely 2 months. She sat beside him on the bed, smiled sweetly. "Toby, I need to tell you something before my conscience kills me." He frowned. "What is it?" "I've been living with hepatitis B for about 5 years now." He froze. "You what?" She looked away. "I didn't say anything before because I was scared you'd leave me. But it's okay now, we are married. We've been doing everything without protection, so we are in this together." Toby jumped from the bed as if fire had entered it. "Sandra, what are you saying?" "Relax," she replied, rolling her eyes. "It's not the end of the world. We'd manage it together. My doctor said couples can live long, healthy lives with treatment." He couldn't even hear the rest. All he saw was flashes. Amaka's face, his mother's tears, the ransom call he had once ended with pride. Now his own life had become ransom for the choices he made. He found out Amaka was back when a friend sent him the video link. She was speaking at an empowerment program, telling women, "Don't beg anyone to see your worth. The people who leave you in darkness don't deserve to witness your light." Her voice was calm, powerful, free. Toby dropped the phone on the table and buried his face in his hand. He didn't know if it was guilt, regret, or punishment. Maybe all three. That evening, he picked up his phone and dialed her number. It rang twice before she answered. "Hello?" Her tone was composed. No anger, no softness, just distance. "It's me, Toby." Silence stretched. Then she said slowly, "Oh, the man who paid ransom for everyone except his wife." He swallowed. "Amaka, I'm sick. Hepatitis B. Sandra hid it from me. I didn't know." "I heard," she said quietly. "That's a strong virus, Toby, but not as deadly as pride." He tried again. "Please, I need forgiveness." "Forgiveness is not medicine," she replied. "I can't cure you, but I hope it gives you peace." Her voice stayed calm, almost kind. "Toby, I won't curse you. I already saw what life did. Take your treatment, face your truth, and learn compassion before time runs out." Then she ended the call. Toby sat in the dark for a long time, phone still in his hand. He finally understood that some decisions echo louder than apologies. At that exact moment, Amaka was in her new kitchen, helping Mama Toby arrange plates. The children were upstairs decorating their rooms with glow-in-the-dark stickers. Mama Toby looked at her daughter-in-law and said, "My daughter, you are stronger than all of us. Even your enemies will be jealous of your peace." Amaka smiled. "Mama, peace is expensive, but thank God I paid mine in full." Her son ran downstairs holding a toy, hammering and shouting, "Mommy, can I help the builders finish the house?" She laughed. "No, my boy, the building is done. What's left now is joy." Some of the lessons we learn from this story are: never abandon the one who once carried you. Some betrayals don't need revenge. Life handles them in full. When God removes you from a place, don't chase what God's saving you from. A woman's silence is not weakness. Sometimes it's preparation for her rising. Healing is wealth. Peace is power. Pride is the slowest sickness. It is the soul before the body falls ill. I hope you guys enjoyed this wonderful masterpiece. Please go ahead and click on the subscribe button to support us. Turn on the post notification. Leave us a comment, like, and share the story to your loved ones because I know they will definitely love it. My loves, I'll see you in the next one. Till then again, bye.
Thank you so much for watching till the end. Please click on the subscribe button to support us. Turn on the post notification to get notified when I upload a new story. Like, share, and comment your thoughts. Till then, bye.